There was a speaker at the Tom Ferry conference last week that I loved. Okay. Now, she was introduced as a persuasive argument coach. So instantly, you and I are like, oh, yes, like doing right in, right? Like, yes, I want that. Right. So she is not just sales, but just how to present a persuasive argument and the science behind it. And I was like, I was so ready for this conversation. I just couldn't wait for her. She was one of the keynotes. So she comes out. Now, I don't know about you. I literally was like, oh, I'm expecting like Sharon to come out, right? Someone that's just like, blah, 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 like really just like packaging it and then selling it, right? And just like, oh, I eat this up, right? So I was waiting for that. And this woman comes out, dressed very nice, very classy, plain black dress, nice, pearls, like just very classy looking, well put together, comes out and just starts speaking just like this, very slowly and eloquently. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this a persuasive speaker, right? Within 10 minutes, I was like, oh my God, yes. She broke down scientifically persuasive conversation and argument, and I was just eating up every ounce of it.
I love it. What was her name? Do you remember her name?
Terry Sojin. Sjodin. She's got a book. We can promo the book. Yeah. But she just took a scientific nerd approach to persuasive conversation.
Wow.
And she's very wildly successful. She's been on Today Show multiple times, like works with some high level people. Tom Ferry hired her as his personal coach.
Wow.
That is how she got into this. And she's like, I'm not a speech coach. I don't go out and help people with their speeches in front of crowds. What I help them do is craft their persuasive speak and their conversation so that they are able to show people and help people visualize what the outcomes can be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I love this.
Wow. I'm going to read her book.
I want to share with you, and we can put up maybe the slides when we do the podcast. I'll share. Remember to share the slides with you, Mason. But I'm gonna go through one of the patterns that she talks about, and I'll explain it because I'm like in love with this notion. So she said, what did she say? Where is it? Dum-de-dum. Okay, here it is. Oh, you're going to love this. So, President Monroe actually created this. He calls the Monroe's motivated sequence. Wow. Okay. Now, if we know President Monroe, he had to sell a lot of stuff to the American people, right? So he came up with this sequence and this science of persuasive conversation, and this is what she bases her teachings on. I can tell you're getting excited already.
I can't wait. I'm like,
Albert's all about it.
He's been building up.
He's looking at me with like these longing eyes.
I'm like, it's been 5 minutes. Hit me with it.
Okay, persuasive presentations have 5 key components to them. The first component is attention. You need to grab attention, right? Now, this is super cool. My son happened to be working on his midterm at the same exact time as this presentation was happening. And he's working on persuasive essays, right? And so his teacher is teaching them in the opening paragraph. The first thing you have to start with is a hook, which I love because in sales, you have to start with a hook.
Yeah.
And she said the best way to get a hook started is either number one, you give an eye-popping statistic, right? So we could say like, did you know that over 900,000 realtors in 2024 didn't sell a single listing?
Fuck, that's good.
Right?
See, I knew that. I still was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Right. So you're tuned in, right? So that's the first thing. The second way of doing it would be by asking a question, a very thought-provoking question, right? So you could say, imagine being one of the 900,000 realtors who didn't sell a house last year. What would you do if you were in that situation? Mm-hmm. Would you give up or would you move forward, right?
Oh, you feel that.
Yeah, you feel it, right? Yeah. So that's like that persuasive question. Or the third way is a visualization. Now, I love the visualization in this particular instance, and I'll tell you why. right? And I would say something to the effect, if I was talking to a realtor, I would say, picture a situation where you're unsure if you can even afford the groceries that are going onto the grocery belt this month because you haven't had a closing in 4 months. And you're there. But guess what? 99% of realtors have been there, right?
Exactly.
And it just brings you to that moment of pain.
Yes.
Right? But guess what? You're going to tune into what I have to say after that. Right? Right? Has there ever been a time, you can do the Phil Jones, has there ever been a time where you haven't had a closing for more than 3 months and you were ashamed you couldn't go out to dinner, you had to cancel dinner plans, right? Or there was a situation you had to tell your wife, hey, maybe next Christmas we'll do something bigger, right? Like,
that just motivated me right now. Wow.
Like those visualizations are so important. Now, let's picture doing this in a presentation, maybe to a seller, right?
Yeah.
You can do a visualization to a seller and you can say, hey, Albert, thank you so much for having me over here today. The first thing I want to do is obviously I want to understand and make sure that we have your goals in mind in this whole process. So let's imagine this. 90 days from now, you're pouring yourself a cup of coffee in your new home in Florida where you want it to be. And you're pouring yourself that cup of coffee and you're saying to yourself, wow, I can't believe that just happened. 90 days just went by. There was some, rough patches here and there, but Justin said they would sell my house for the most amount of money. He said he would do it in the timeline I wanted. And he said he would save me as many headaches as humanly possible. And here I am 90 days later, pouring this cup of coffee in my new house, staring at the beach. Imagine that.
Yeah.
I just brought you to that place, right? So now that visualization is there.
So now you're working from that mindset.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I'm working backwards from that mindset. Exactly, right? So I've got your attention and I've got you into that visualized place. And honestly, you could go for a soft close right there. And I could say, now, Albert, if I go through this presentation of things that I'm going to do specifically to obtain that goal for you, and I show you that I have the shortest point from A to B for you to get to that exact place, can we work together?
Yes.
It's an illogical answer to
it's
say
almost
no.
like my personality is almost like I don't need to see the presentation at all.
100%.
Right.
And I guarantee there will be people that will be like, who cares? Let's sign up. Like, done.
Yeah.
Right. That is a sale in 30 seconds.
That's powerful, dude.
Right?
That's powerful.
And that's just component number 1.
Wow. Did you send me that?
Yeah. I
right. I'm starting the book tonight.
So that's component number 1. Okay. Component number 2 of this 5-step program or 5-step method, you have to demonstrate the need. What's the need for what you service or product you provide? Right? So we have to demonstrate that there is a need for what we do. Right? So in this particular case, in a service-oriented position, it's really finding the why, right? Like why do you need what I have to give? So I could say something like, Albert, you told me that it's really important to you that we net the most amount of money. That's a big, you need this for your family and for your well-being for the future. So what I want to show you here is specifically how we're going to obtain the most amount of money for you and why everything I do is critically important so that we obtain that goal, right? Okay, so now I've told you I have what I need to do to accomplish your goal. So I've demonstrated to you the need for what I can do for you, right? If I was talking to an agent as a broker and I could say, hey, you mentioned to me that, you're really searching for a better culture. There's something missing for you in your current environment where you think you could do more if you tapped into a better culture, right? And what I'd like to do is address that specifically and show you a little bit behind the curtain of what our culture looks like to see if that could be what you need to tune into to raise your level, right? That you want to accomplish. I've demonstrated the need for what I have to them, right? And it's essentially just tapping into their why.
Yeah.
All right. So that's step 2. Step 3 is called satisfaction, demonstrating to them to the point where they're satisfied in understanding that you have the answer. right? So when I show them behind the curtain and they're like, wow, you really are, you had 57 people at this social event and everyone was great. And then I've gotten to the point of satisfaction. I've proof that what I have works. If I'm talking to a seller, it's the same thing. Hey, Mr. Seller, can you see now how my strategic process to get you the most amount of money in the quickest time with the fewest problems is the right answer for you? Can you see how I have the shortest point from A to B?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's where your first yes comes in.
Yeah.
Satisfaction. I am satisfied with what you are offering, right?
Yep.
Now, step 4, and this is why I love starting with the visualization, because step 4 is visualization. But since I started with visualization, I just have to come back to it now.
Yeah.
So after we go through that presentation and I've demonstrated the need and I've demonstrated the satisfaction and you've agreed and been satisfied with what I offer, I come back to, so Albert, now that I've shown you I have the shortest point from A to B to get you to pour that cup of coffee 90 days from now in your new home, staring at the beach and saying to yourself, damn, Justin really did the job. Can I have the business? Right? And
Actually, I'll just give you my house. How's that? We're good. We're good. I don't need it.
So step 5, the last step, is action. It is that demonstration. Now, I've just led you to action, right? And in that point, it's let's get started. Let's sign the agreement. Let me show you exactly what we need to do to move this forward, whatever. But it's getting action. And it's not failing to close, right? And I even hate to say it that way because this is not
almost
about
like
closing.
Yeah. If you do the 1 through 4,
right,
the 5 is just a natural process.
It's a failure to ask for the business, and so many agents fall off on that.
Yeah.